Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to the beautiful island of Bali, Indonesia, and welcome to Sanur, one of the regencies of Bali. And I'm here to show you a shopping center. It's actually the newest shopping center in Indonesia, the newest shopping center in Bali. It's right behind me. We're gonna go and check it out. The shopping center we're gonna go to is called ICON Bali, or ICON Sanur Bali. And it's this very big shopping center in front of us here. We're gonna go for a bit of a walk around. I'm gonna talk about a few of the things that I've noticed, what I like and don't like about it. And then if perhaps you're coming to Bali, you can make your own opinion. There is a lot of differing opinions about this place. So I thought I'd try and make something that's a little bit more independent. It's not just that Instagram style view of the place. And we'll go have a look around and I'll let you know what I think. The first thing I really want to talk about is the traffic and the road to get in and out of here. Now, probably the last 10 minutes since I came outside, there's really not that much traffic. But the way the roads are set up here in Sanur, it's a two-way road, but it gets very congested very, very quickly. And they are trying to manage the traffic. Now, this is probably the nicest the traffic's gonna be while I'm standing here. And I'm not really setting a good example of how bad it can get because of the way this road works. It basically brings all the people either into Sanur or out of Sanur. And like where this car wants to cross against the traffic, it's causing a bit of a snarl. And then there's basically one way in and out of the car drop-off, which people are using it for taxis, or where people are actually picking up friends. So I really want to say this isn't the best design. However, they've not changed or improved the road system where this huge shopping center's been built. So you're going to have to deal with a little bit of traffic if you're coming down here from another area. Obviously you're going to be walking here. It's not too bad. But if you're coming by taxi or by a car or a driver, just be prepared for a little bit of waiting. And if you're staying in Sanur and you're stuck in traffic, you know that most of it's coming in and out of the shopping center right in front of us here. If you are watching this video, and perhaps you're watching my channel for the first time, I'm Russell. I'm actually an Australian who lives year-round in Moscow, Russia. And I've visited Bali perhaps about 50 times. And the videos on this channel mostly are supermarket reviews or shopping center reviews. And it's how the channel got as big as it is. I do lots of other things as well. But if you're watching the video purely for a walk around of ICON Mall, you've come to the right place. And perhaps at some point you might want to check out another video on the channel. I am making quite a few videos while I'm here in Bali. So it might be interesting for you to like and subscribe to the channel. I don't put any pressure on people to do that, but let's get on with the walk around, shall we? The one thing I will say about the building itself, it's very impressive and it's very big, and it definitely overshadows a lot of the nearby buildings. In Bali, generally, they actually have a lot of height restrictions on buildings. So a lot of things can't be built over a certain floor level and height. This place is definitely impressive from the outside before we even get inside. I mean, it does fit in with the surrounding area, particularly the beach side of it. I'm not so sure so much the main street of Sanur it fits in exactly. But, you know, there's a lot of Balinese and then more modern buildings that have been slowly sort of taking over all the Balinese buildings as they get demolished and rebuilt. The sun's coming in the wrong direction right now, so I was really hoping to show you a bit of traffic here because I've been here now 4 times and it's been a little bit of chaos. And it's almost as soon as I switched on the camera, the busyness just disappeared. They do have some guys that are helping with traffic calming and traffic management, but I don't think it really helps. Once cars come from both directions and want to cross over in front of each other to get in, there's really not much they can do except be very patient. I think also lots of people do book taxis from here, and there's a lot of apps that you can use to book taxis for pickup and drop off from this exact point. And lots of people have been very patient waiting for their taxis to come, and then normal private cars come along and drop off their family. There is a lot of underground parking here for people with local vehicles, but naturally a lot of people who aren't staying in Sanur will come here by taxi or with a driver. So that's what everybody's doing out the front. It does mention they've actually got valet parking, but I've not seen anybody do that since I've been standing outside a couple of times before even making this video. As you walk on inside for the first time, it's definitely impressive, just the sheer size of this lobby and entrance and how big it is. Now, of course, lots of my audience and you watching maybe live in another country, and this may not seem very big and not impressive. And I think until you come here and walk around it yourself and judge it, you know, it's going to be very polarizing. A lot of people that you'll see in the video that are walking around are Indonesians, and I think a lot of them are not actually from Bali itself. They're probably visiting the island, and they've decided to come to the shopping mall, to come shopping, to walk around. But there's definitely a wow factor when you first walk in, and I noticed that when I walked in as well. The other thing too is there's very nice air conditioning in here. So if you've walked around the streets for an hour or two and then you come to this place, it has a big calming effect on you because of that air conditioning. You can see upstairs the Lego store, and then downstairs Swarovski. And there is definitely a lot of people in here. I've been in here in the daytime and in the nighttime. It does definitely get more busier in the evening after 7 p.m. So it doesn't really matter right now when you come. There's not really a quiet time. If you're wondering about the opening hours for the mall, it's open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. So there's plenty of trading hours to come. Fairly normal that most places open in Bali at 10 a.m. So if you're a person that comes from a different country, or a lot of stuff opens at 8 or 9, Bali's just got a little bit of extra sleep-in time, so you don't have to come so early. I really want to make this walk around a little bit more about the shopping center generally, and just to show you the space and what's here. However, there is actually a very well-known British brand on this lower floor, Marks and Spencer. They did actually have this in Russia until they left last year. And I'm here in Bali with my mum and dad as well. And my mum, being that she's born in England, she knows this store very, very well. And they have some very nice clothing in here. So if you are British or know the brand, you've got a store here in Bali to come to. Ladies, don't worry too much. I don't think it's going to take long for Sephora to open. Now, this shopping mall actually opened 10 days ago from while I'm filming this. I think it was roughly the first week in June, so depending on when you're watching this now later. So I'm just in about the second week of the opening of the shopping center, and there's still a lot of buzz and hype about the place. But there is still quite a lot of shops not open. There's still a lot of people around though, even with probably about 50% of the shopping mall open and running. There is definitely a lot more upscale shops and designer shops, as my mum would call it, fancy shops. And then there's a bit of a mix of other brands as well. A couple of perfume shops here also on this lower floor. And then the well-known Swarovski store. For anybody watching, is your local shop pink? Because I've not seen this color before on the Swarovski shops. Maybe this is their new design. Very nice store. There's no shoppers inside, which is interesting. And then another one here, Fred Perry. So there is a lot of upscale shops or premium shops You can see again how many people are here as we make our way through. Lots of people wanting to take photos. An interesting living wall right here. I'm going to walk right by, and everybody's trying to get photos. Then you come down to this middle part of the shopping center here, and they've got this bigger open atrium area. So if you are walking in from the street side, you'll then come into this main middle part of the shopping center, and then again more shops on either side. Lots of recognizable brands, and then there's going to be a few thrown in that will be local Indonesian brands and perhaps some other brands from overseas. And when I was here 2 nights ago, they actually had a concert on the stage downstairs, and it was very cool. It was actually a Beatles cover band, and it was very impressive. And you can see off through those back windows, which we'll get down to in a few minutes, the ocean view out to the Sanur side of Bali, or the eastern sunrise side of the island. It's definitely interesting to see as you walk around. Certain shops have got a lot of people in them, and some are empty. And it seems to be shoe shops and sport shops that are very heavily trafficked with people. Even we went to have a look when we came here a few nights ago. And perhaps in Bali they didn't have this many shoe shops in the past. I know in the shopping malls they have them, but generally on the street and in the markets they're not original shoes. So a lot of people do want genuine brands. And have a look at this middle island of the shopping center, and then this very big roof. There's actually birds flying around upstairs as well. Pretty sure they've just let themselves in. Maybe the roof is actually open up there as well. So it's definitely impressive. Lots of people chilling on these steps. There is actually a food court on the lower ground floor, and there's one on the upper floor. So we'll go check them out now as well. It does look like all of the shop locations have all been leased. They just are in the gradual process of building them out and finishing them. With this place opening 10 days ago, a lot of people would have rushed to open their store and had plenty of time, whilst others perhaps just take a little bit longer. And particularly where they're not local brands, perhaps they don't have the infrastructure to open the store as quickly. You can actually see downstairs now this food court, which is set up very much in a Balinese style, where they've got the little carts and little huts that you can buy the food from, which is really nice. From the far end of the shopping center where I'm standing now, you can look straight out to the ocean, and there's a big shaded area when you come down the escalators to the beach level. It looks like they're building some outside food or restaurants or food courts maybe. They're still under construction. So it's not as pretty as it really feels when you first walk in from the street side, but maybe give it another couple of months, I think, and it'll be fully open down there. I thought I'd come out to the beach side of the shopping center because they're building these restaurants right on the boardwalk here. Can't quite see back to the shopping center, so once they're removed, it'll be very impressive. So there's a very long paved pathway that you can walk the whole length of Sanur Beach and go between the hotels or restaurants. And then when you turn around, you come across the beach right here. And actually there's a seawall about 500 meters out that you could swim out to or walk out to at low tide. And lots of people just hang out on the beach here. Now, it's not ideal for swimming. You can, particularly at high tide, but a lot of people just come out here just to get a bit of fresh air. It's always very breezy and windy, so if you want some nice sea breezes, definitely come and check this out. There's a couple of spots to take photos with the ICON Bali sign right there. And then I'd imagine at some point they do different performances out here. They've got a whole lot of speakers set up, so I'm guessing they do something from time to time. So perhaps they've already signed the lease on the restaurants outside here. Sand Beach Bar and Restaurant. So if anybody knows that, let us all know in the comments about that place that'll open here at some point. And then the other one is called Natty's Restaurant. So if anybody knows that place, it's got an Instagram and it's got some big advertising. So perhaps they're known restaurants here in Sanur. And that might be Natty right there, firing up the barbecue. There is another couple already open down here. But the one thing you are definitely sitting over is this very big 5-level apartment building and hotel that they're building immediately next door, which, along with the shopping center, which is huge, that place next door is even bigger. When you walk in from this beachside, it's very impressive. I mean, for me, who makes a lot of videos at shopping centers, there is a lot of work goes into making these buildings and finishing them. And you're looking at probably 2 years, maybe 3 years of construction. And the people that were building this are happy to get to this stage where they can open and let all the shops trade. So on this lower level, they've got these little takeaway stands, and they try to make it look as Balinese or Indonesian as possible by having these food carts with different types of food, and try to make it less look like a food court. So it's really nice that you can grab some traditional food, and it's not very expensive either. This is very much normal prices. Of course, there's going to be other brands. I'm not sure who Juro Cake is, but they've got lots of cakes and treats in there. And of course, depending on where you live in the world, Johnny Rockets. They actually have one of these at Beachwatch Shopping Center as well. But then if you want something more traditional, check that out. The lady's cooking it right there. I'm pretty sure they wrap it in coconut, looks like. So yeah, there's lots of food options. And it looks like lots of locals obviously know what they're buying and eating, because there's lots of people coming to check it out. What are they doing over here? Have a look at this. Whatever they're doing with that. It looks very nice. As a person who's worked in retail since the age of 14, it's definitely nice and refreshing to see a shopping center busy and full and have lots of people in it. And most of the shops have plenty of shoppers. Perhaps you're watching because you want to check out Icon Mall. Maybe you're watching because you like my videos and the way that I do the narration of them and the walk around. That's completely up to you. I mean, I think at least come once. I mean, definitely if you're staying in the Sanur area like I am, it's a bit hard to avoid because it's in one direction or the other from where I'm staying. And of course, like today, it's busy and lots of people around. Now I have walked around about 80% of the shopping mall, so hopefully I can find somewhere new. And as you go down some of these extra side lanes, there's still shops that aren't open yet. So there's a mix also of Indonesian stores where they've got some, traditional looking clothes, shoes, and then definitely a lot of Western brands as well. There's two shops I want to show you on this lower ground floor that might be interesting. This one is called Kirsna Oleh Oleh, and I am going to have a separate video on the channel, so whether you are watching this first or this Kirsna video second, I'm going to do a full walk around of the Kirsna that's on the bypass road. If you watch the video, it'll make a bit of sense. And this is an incredibly popular store with Indonesians that visit Bali and want to buy gifts to take back to friends in other islands of Indonesia. And they've got lots of Indonesian gifts. Now this particular store mostly has food items, and there's a little bit of clothing. But if you really want to see the bigger version of this store, there's a 3-level Kirsna, about 20 minutes from here by taxi. So perhaps have a look at that video. I will put a link in the description of it so you can check it out. But it's definitely worth a visit, maybe to this store or definitely to the other one. Once you've watched the video, you'll understand. They do also have some pop-up shops as well in the corridor at the back here. Now this is on the lower ground floor when you come down the escalators and then come underneath the entrance. So if you want some local Indonesian style gifts, there's lots of these little pop-up shops. And then the one thing I want to show you, and someone's already asked me about this, does it have a supermarket? And it definitely does. It's called Market City. And this is not a particularly big supermarket, but it has everything you might need, especially if you're staying locally in the area. Lots of fresh fruits. There's actually a little table and chairs area where you can sit and have a snack and a drink. So you can get something just as a bit of a snack. And then at the back there, there's the normal aisles if you need general supermarket things. One thing I will say is that some of the things are a little pricey because they've got a lot of imported items that are not domestically produced. So if you're wanting something so desperately from the country you're from, you'll be able to find it in here. But just get ready to pay a little bit of a higher price. If you're just wanting some fruit or some chips or some candy, it's very reasonably priced. But there is definitely a supermarket in this shopping center, but it's definitely a little bit higher in price. And if you're wanting some papaya, this is what my wife bought when we came. You can get a nice container of papaya for pretty much about $1 US or thereabouts, depending on the weight. There's lots of fresh fruit. You can buy it, and you can sit right here and enjoy it. So it's interesting, there is the supermarket here. Now, the times that I've come shopping here this week, I've just bought a drink and some fruit, and that's it. We had a look at quite a lot of the prices, and they were just too high to buy some of the things. And there is other local stores or local supermarkets that are a little bit better value than this one. But if you're in the area and you need something, it's right behind me. I made my way up to this upper ground floor. On the elevator, they've got different words for the different levels, and there's actually a roof level, but there's nothing up there. So maybe they're building that. We can see now downstairs the different restaurants that they're building. And they're in quite different stages of finishing as well. And this beautiful view, that's Nusa Penida way off in the distance. And then the northern part of Bali off to the left there. So it's very beautiful. It looks like there's actually a hotel literally next door also. And it's such a nice view from up here. It's almost worth coming just for this view. And then as I swing around, you get a good idea of this upstairs level, and then lots of people taking photos, of course, and then looking down. Very loud air conditioning right where I'm standing here, but that's fine. You can just see how big this is, and then just how much construction goes into building these places on such a small island, you know, relative to the rest of Indonesia. It's really up to you to make that decision. Is it the right thing to build something so big here? Is it too much for Sanur? I mean, somebody mentioned in one of the Facebook posts that it's good for the local economy because of the amount of people that will come to the area, and then the amount of jobs this place creates for locals or for other people that live on the island, which I totally agree with. Of course, some people who maybe have come to Sanur for many years won't like the amount of traffic it's causing and the amount of people that are now walking on the beach, for instance. That might be a factor. Ice cream place. And Is there anywhere in the world that there isn't a Subway? Looks like it's opening very soon. They're not that far from being finished. These birds that are flying around, they look like they're like battery operated toys that someone's put in. They're of course just flying in from the open building, but they really add to the place. There is also a few other sit-down restaurants on this upstairs level. And there's always that rule, if a restaurant's full and it's got a lot of local people in it in the country you're in, it must be good. And this place is definitely no exception. So if you know Padang Kuning, maybe come and check this out. I didn't actually walk upstairs at all the last couple of times I've been here, and I only did the other 3 levels. So it's interesting just to check it out myself and see some of the shops that I missed. One of the restaurants I did notice is opening soon is Bubba Gump's. Now, depending on where you live in the world, you might have been to a Bubba Gump's. I've been into the one in Miami before. I've been to the one in Hawaii before. So that'll be interesting when that opens right here on this corner too, because I'll have that ocean view lookout, which will be a very sought after seat. You can actually see all the way around here. They've actually got it boarded up. But this will be an absolutely cracking view from here looking out to the ocean. So perhaps when you're coming to Bali, check out if this is open or not. It might be already open if you're watching this months later. I wonder how many people who are watching from Australia know about this trick or maybe hack. When you come to Indonesia, you can bring your prescriptions with you, and generally you can find much cheaper frames here. Just need to bring your prescription, and then there's generally 2 or 3 or more glasses shops in the different shopping centers, and then they can actually make your prescription for you. I'm fairly sure it's still a thing. It was years ago, and it is now. And you've got lots to choose from in these stores, and particularly if you want brand name or high-end branded glasses, you can get them here. And as I'm walking around a little bit further, there's a few phone brands, and then there's a few surf brands, and then this middle level pretty much then is all shoe shops, and all of the different brands have stores here. So if you want one of the brand name stores, or if you want to go to like Sports Station, they've got all the brands in one store. I know when my wife came, she came looking for some flip-flops, and it was pretty easy to find some. So maybe this is your thing. It's definitely a little bit quieter up here, but generally the shopping center has been busy every day I've come to visit. This wall is pretty impressive, and just the stonework as well, and then the structure that they built it around is very impressive. Shopping centers generally just are a marvel of construction. Maybe to some people they're a menace because they make traffic. They make more people come to the area maybe where you live. Not everybody likes them, and I can understand that. And I think we all need them at some point in our life as they come back around to the front part of the shopping center. Pretty much there's not a person walking in the lobby now. It's almost strange. Every time I come to a certain spot, it's like someone's walking in front of me, clearing the way. I'm trying to remember if there is actually a Giordano in Australia. We have it in Russia. But if anybody knows if we've got one of these stores in the different cities of Australia, let me know in the comments. It's a very nice shop. And it's probably got the coldest air conditioning in the whole shopping center. So it might be worth just coming in for the air conditioning alone. There's not a single shopper in here. So perhaps it's not so well known, maybe even here in Indonesia. But if you need that cold relief from the air conditioning, it's just upstairs on the left when you first walk in. Have a look again at this roof structure. The other thing this shopping center has, and I think it's fairly well advertised around the island, I've seen signs for it everywhere, is IMAX. And I think possibly this might be the only IMAX on the island, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody perhaps can correct me, but they do actually have normal movies as well as IMAX. And the ticket prices start at $5 Australian a ticket. And they're in English with Indonesian subtitles. So if you want to come and watch movies, you definitely can. And it's actually a really nice experience. Now, I would suggest if you've got a hoodie or a light jacket or a sweater, because they tend to be very well air conditioned, the movie theaters. And some people aren't used to that. They also have a nice food selection as well. So you can have some nice snacks, and the other thing they've got is caramel and chocolate popcorn right there. So if you're going to come to the movies, it's definitely worth it just for the snacks, and it's a good way to spend a few hours in Bali, which is maybe something you wouldn't traditionally do when you come to Bali. Come and get away from the heat of the beach and come and watch a movie. And actually, I'm thinking about this now for my wife and I, because I want to see this Bad Boys movie that's just been released. It's a little bit harder to see them in Russia than it used to be a few years ago. I think if you're from Australia, I think there isn't a person that doesn't know time zone. It's essentially a video arcade, and lots of different games that you can play. It's actually right in the window that you look upstairs from outside. It's very loud and very noisy. But if you want to bring the kids to burn off a little bit of energy, perhaps come to Time Zone. We've had them in Western Australia for many years, and they're almost an institution, time zones. And then when I came to Bali years ago, I always found it fun that they had some Western influence here by having Time Zone, which I think is an Australian company set up here in Bali. I really do hope you're enjoying this walk around of ICON Sanur. Now, they did actually call it ICON Bali on the sign outside, but I'm pretty sure for most maps and taxi apps, you put ICON Sanur to find the place. If you're staying in Sanur, I'm pretty sure you've seen it, you've heard about it, or you've got stuck in traffic driving by it. So I do hope this video is helpful for you if you're planning to come here, or maybe you don't want to come here. You know, let me know in the comments what you think of what you've seen, and maybe your opinion if you like it or not. I'm more than happy to read positive and negative reviews about the place. I've decided to see if I can walk around and find my wife somewhere in this lower ground floor area. She told me she was going for a coffee, but there is about 7 coffee shops. Now, if you are a coffee lover, that's absolutely beautiful, because there's so many different ones you can choose from. Now, fortunately, or rather unfortunately, there's Starbucks. And who's sitting here? But my wife. She's actually, I think she's actually had her coffee already, and she's just waiting for me to come on by and pick her up. Okay, so I thought I'd come outside to the main entrance to do the ending and just give you my thoughts about ICON Sanur. Now, if you've been to Bali before, there is other shopping centers in other parts of Bali. There's the Beach Walk shopping mall in Kuta. There's Living World in Denpasar. There's also Bali Galleria. I'm trying to remember them all in my head. Now, the lady that works here said she wasn't sure if this is the largest shopping center in Bali or Indonesia. It does feel big. But whether it's the biggest, I'm not 100% sure. It's definitely impressive when you walk in, but it's not as big, I think, as perhaps the Living World Denpasar shopping mall. Now, just a few things about how far it is away If you're coming from Kuta or Legian, I would say with a taxi it's about 45 minutes, perhaps up to an hour, depending on if you get stuck in a bit of traffic. This traffic coming in and out of the shopping center, which again, exactly as I'm standing here, there isn't any, but at different times of day, it is definitely going to be a problem getting in and out. So if you're coming from Kuta, I would say 45 minutes by a taxi like Bluebird or Grab, depending on how you're getting here. If you're coming by a driver, of course, maybe you're not basically checking the price of what the taxis would be. Maybe from Seminyak, I would say about an hour, depending on which road they take to get here. Of course, if you're staying in Sanur, pretty much walking distance, depending on where you're staying. So it depends on how far you want to travel to come to a shopping mall. Of course, you could walk the boardwalk of the beach area here. There is a ton of restaurants nearby, so you could make a bit of a day of it. Definitely not a place to come and stay by the beach, unless you perhaps want to get a beach chair. It's not a beach that you would come and sit on and then have a swim and things like that, because it's very shallow because of the reef. About the shopping center, I really like it. I think it's very impressive. It's very nice to walk around. There's a supermarket. There's plenty of places to have some food. If I read lots of people's feedback on Facebook, particularly some of the groups that are Bali orientated, there's a lot of positive and negative about the place, mostly because of people who have stayed in Sanur over the years, and then they build something so big in the main street. You know, I like it. I'm a bit of a fan of shopping centers. Of course, this is what the channel was built around. I go to them in other countries and talk about them and review them. So it's something that I'm not bothered about. I don't really like the traffic, but it's going to have to be a part of coming here. There is 2 levels of underground parking for people that bring their own cars here. So that should alleviate some of the problems. But I think no matter where you live, especially a new shopping center, which is less than 10 days old, is going to be very well trafficked and populated with people. So I think it's really up to you to come here and check it out. Perhaps you'll come once and maybe never come again, or it will become your place to come to. Maybe there's a favorite food place in here or a favorite shop. For my wife, she's not a big fan of it because there isn't any of the shops that she likes here. Only Sephora, which is the perfume shop, which hasn't opened yet. So we'll be back in Russia before that opens. My bank and my heart is saved for a little while. So there isn't all the shops in this mall that she likes to come to. She prefers Beach Walk over in Kuta than this one. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the walk around. Of course, these are a little bit longer videos, and that's the intention of them, to give you that full review of the place. If you've already clicked away. Now, if you like the video, you can give it a thumbs up and post a comment. Let me know what you think, especially of the tour and the place itself. Have you been already? Have you not? It's always interesting to read different people's opinion about it. Maybe it's different from mine, of course. You know, I think the main thing that they need to sort out is just the traffic and getting in and out of here, so that it generally alleviates traffic in the whole area, because we're staying about a kilometer up the road from here and we get the effects of the traffic because of the amount of people that are coming to the area for only this shopping center. So yeah, it's definitely something that's affected our holiday. It's not a big deal. As they say, it's a first world problem that we've got to deal with. What's the last thing I've got to say? Post a comment, put a thumbs up. Now, if you've reached the end of the video, you're now part of the ICON squad. So if someone puts ICON squad in the comments, I know you've watched right till the end. If you'd like to join me on Telegram, there's a link right here. I post a lot of my daily content and what I'm doing. I'm also quite active in the chat on Telegram. Click that link. And if you want to see an old video, I'll actually put the video of the walk around of Living World Denpasar that I did about 6 months ago. You can watch that and make a comparison. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.